Hi guys. Today, before we get in conversation with our next guest, Pooja, let me give a brief background about her. Pooja is a native of Nainital, a popular hill station of India. For those who are not from India, Nainital is located in the foothills of Himalayas, and we have a small clip playing in parallel to show the natural beauty of Nainital. Like a whole lot of us, soon after her education, Pooja too moved to the capital city of India, Delhi, and spent a large part of her youth working her way up the corporate world. She began her career as a consultant and soon found herself heading marketing for a leading fashion brand of India. But something changed in this pandemic. Let's find out what triggered the change. Let's invite Pooja and get talking. Hi, Pooja. Welcome. Thank you for taking out the time to talk to us.
Hi, Tulika. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's such a pleasure to be talking to you because you're doing something which you yourself are doing something which most of us really dream of doing, getting all the women together, the community together,
Thank
and
you.
building that community. I think is the most important thing. It's
Thank,
the need of the hour.
thank you so much. Thanks for the kind word. That's really sweet of you. So, Pooja, I'm going to straight away jump into it, and what I really admire about your story is you doing something that a whole lot of us, if not all of us, aspire to do, which is to actually go back to our roots and relive what our parents went through and how they lived and where they lived. Tell us about it. What was the tipping point?
Tulika, when I was living really happily with my husband, my daughter in Gurgaon, I have been born and brought up in Uttarakhand. My roots are from here. My entire family lives here. We are Kumaonis. We hail from the Kumaoni region or Kumaon region of Uttarakhand. And after school, I moved out to study further. Then, started working there, met my husband there, and we got married and decided to settle there for a while. But obviously, both of us, not only just for me, but for both of us, my husband and I really wanted to be here with our parents. Every time we would come back for smaller holidays, those micro weekends, long weekends, we would meet the entire family, be it his side of the family or my side of the family. We would meet everybody, and then it would be time to go back. So we always, craved for this longer period of time to be here. We wanted to be closer to nature. We wanted our daughter to grow up closer to nature. And we thought, maybe someday once we retire in our 40s, late 40s or 50s, we'll take an early retirement and then we'll move back home.
Right.
And then when the pandemic hit in 2020, both of us were fortunate enough. We had the luxury of being able to work from home. And we both decided to actually move back home because fortunately our offices allowed that. They were really kind to us. And then we moved here in May 2020. We spent a couple of months in Gurgaon as well in the first lockdown. Then we moved here in 2020, and then it was all of that came back to us, our childhoods, how, like, for example, I was telling you that today we have Harela, which we're celebrating. It's a Kumaoni festival. I remember last year, this time we celebrated it too with my entire family, and it just brought back so many childhood memories. So when the time came for us to go back, I was like, no, this is not what I want to do anymore. I want to stay here. I want to be in my home, and I want to be able to do things to give back to my, to give back to my homeland, so that it just sort of balances my life out in a way that I can earn my 2 cents, probably, make a living out of it, and at the same time do something good.
Right.
So that's when we decided that, we just didn't want to give that up. I wanted to share the cultural and the natural wealth of Uttarakhand to the rest of the world. And I wanted my daughter to grow up in the same way as I did, most importantly, doing the same things. So yeah, that was it for us.
That's nice. So it was almost like a deja vu for you. Really?
Right, it was. In a lot of ways, you could say it was. Yeah.
That's nice. While you say that you went back to the family, and I know that friends and family, they mean well, but I'm pretty sure that when you told them that you're gonna give up your successful career, corporate culture career back in the city and
Right.
move to Nainital, they must have bombarded you with a whole lot of questions. With all the good intentions, but generally this is what happens. So let me imitate the same thing and do the same for you, to see how you handle those questions. That's really something that I really wish to know, that, how did you go about doing that? So I think the first would be like, why? Why do you want to give up something you're doing so well and, you're successful? Why do you want to give it all away?
Tulika, I think success is subjective. And that's what I told them exactly, that, maybe for a lot of people, success means to earn a lot of money. For some people, it means a thriving corporate career. And for some people, probably it means, being happy also, right? But if you ask me, for me, of course, being happy is the most important thing. If I'm able to be happy with my family, I think I would consider myself successful, not monetarily. But at the same time, if I'm able to give back to my cultural heritage, to my homeland, all of that it's given me, it's given me a rich cultural heritage that I want to share with the rest of the world. It's taught me to live sustainably, and I want to make sure that I spread the word, and I want to be able to at least practice that in my life first. And most importantly, the importance of family and tradition and being close to them. I think all of this combined together is success for me. So I would say that I'm starting out, I'm restarting my career right now, probably, but it's okay. I guess that's what I told them. And the most important thing is that, I have this longing to be close to my roots,
Right.
to be able to relive or live the same cultural heritage that I have grown up with. So yeah, that's why I sort of wanted to do this.
And what about, the change of pace of life? Like Delhi has, I mean, pace of life on a daily basis vis-a-vis, I'm sure your life over there. Does it bother you, or did it bother you initially?
No, honestly, I think slowness is a state of mind. And I feel like, a lot of people come to the hills thinking that, okay, they will have this slow paced life here, when they come for holidays, that there will be nobody to talk to, and we will just put a book in a corner, we'll isolate ourselves, we'll sit with a book in a corner and a cup of tea, and that's how a day is going to look like. But for me, it's a very different day. I mean, for me, how my day looks is as fast paced as it was in the city. My weekdays are really, really fast paced because I obviously have a lot of people to look after, in the sense that I have my artisans, then I have and there's a lot of brand building, background work that's happening. So I don't even get to know where my weekdays go.
Wow.
In fact, sometimes, my family gets a little annoyed with me and says that, okay, at least my brother was telling me the other day that you don't come and spend weekends with us. And I was like, but, it's almost like I have a new job. So you have to sort of, So I feel like, slowness is a state of mind. And mountains and slowness, yes, are synonyms. But for me, I think I'm living a very fast-paced life here.
That's interesting. I think that's a very good takeaway. That it's all depends on you, how you want to picture it and how you interpret it.
Right.
The next thing that I think probably got bombarded was like, what about education, about your child's education and healthcare system? How are you going to deal with those practical issues?
I think I'm not living in a very remote location. The nearest hospital is not that far away. So, I mean, we're okay. I'm not saying that, it's not like Gurgaon that, you have practo and you can just dial in the doctor or something. No. But to be fair, I think you fall sick much less over.
Fair point.
And then when it comes to education, I think I attended a boarding school here in Nainital, All Saints College, and I think I've spent most of my adult life in that boarding school. And Nainital is sort of a hub for educational institutes all over the country. I can easily say that it's one of the best educational hub for your child, even if you're living in Delhi or Gurgaon. And any which way, my husband and I had planned that we would send our daughter definitely to either Sherwood, where my husband went to, or All Saints, where I went to, either or. But yeah, I mean, I don't think education is really a problem.
Great. So did you come with a plan B?
No, I don't think nobody should have a plan B when they're I mean, yeah, it's practical to not have all your eggs in one basket, but I don't have a plan B. And I think that sort of helps me to do better, because I feel like, when you have a plan B, then you're sort of a little eased out.
You have an exit strategy.
Yeah, I don't have an exit strategy per se, but I think I have talent.
Right.
And I don't think that I thought of in my head that I don't think there'll be a problem if this doesn't work out. Something else will work out. Something or the other will work out. So I think talent is most important, which I am presuming that I have. But yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it's amazing. And in fact, that's my next question. The first time that we talked about you and about your journey, what really, really touched my heart was all the work that you're doing with the locals over there. You're helping the women actually become a part of you and your project. You're empowering at the ground level. And about the mass migration that you've seen Uttarakhand go through, I think that's really you're doing the true empowerment at the grassroots level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a very small level right now, Purika. I mean, I would love for it to be bigger, and I would love to help out as many people as I can. Yeah. Right now, we're a very, very small setup, because obviously we're just 4 months old now.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just 4 months old, and it's a very small setup. It's almost like homegrown, where people come to my workshop. These women come to my workshop. In our backyard, we've created a small space for them where they can come, feel at home, do their thing, and just, yeah. But, the reality is that in Uttarakhand, more than 66% of the population lives in rural areas, and more than 80% lives in hill districts. So I'll give you a very small example. My parents last year visited our ancestral home, which is in Pithoragarh. There's a small village near Gangoli Hat called Kodubher, where my grandfather is from. And when they came back, they told me that, how the entire village had been abandoned. I mean, there were barely 4 to 5 families living there. So my grandfather moved out. He was in the police, and he used to get transferred a lot. So he moved out, and he decided to settle down in the Tarai region, which is not Pithoragarh. But anyway, we took care of our ancestral home. It's still there, intact. It's a beautiful Kumaoni architecture. I mean, beautiful Kumaoni traditional home. So it's still there, and we visit often. My parents visit often. Obviously, I'm not able to yet, but I do dream to do that someday. So they came back and they told me that, this is the village is almost abandoned. There are barely 4 to 5 families which are living there. So what happens mostly in Uttarakhand is that the young men move out to the cities to look for jobs. Their wives stay back, looking after the cattle, looking after their parents, looking after their kids, and also working in the fields. So, in a way, they are the anchors of the family.
Practically doing everything.
Move out. Yeah, they're doing everything. They're doing it all. Yeah. Right. So when they move out and their family stays here, what happens in a situation like that is that, someday they make enough money to be able to afford moving their family out with them as well, which leaves us with abandoned villages. It leaves us with abandoned, beautiful, small homes. Their lands are very small pieces of land, which they obviously sell off. And So in the situation here, we basically they migrated to the cities, and the village is almost like a ghost town.
Yeah.
So the whole, that's what we thought of. Well, that these women who are here taking care of the entire family, what if they were able to also help out financially?
True.
What if they were able to help out there, contribute in a way that maybe they decide to not move out. Maybe someday we can scale up enough that their men also move back in. And right now, because of COVID, a lot of reverse migration happened. I would say my example, I would also call myself a migrant. So a lot of reverse migration happened. It's nicer, if you can keep them there, if you can help out and create opportunities for these women, if you can upskill them,
Totally.
so that at least they're able to contribute to their families financially. And yeah, I mean, they decide to stay back. It'll be such a beautiful thing. Our cultural heritage will be intact. If you think about it, agriculture will be intact because they do want to work. I mean, that's all they know.
So, Pooja, that's really amazing that you're using the skills that they already have and something that they've inherited from the culture. But tell me, how come you chose turmeric as your first product?
It's really interesting, Tulika. When we moved back here last year in the pandemic, my mother-in-law, she would every night force the entire family to have that blend. She had made it. She kept it very nicely that, okay, my kids are going to come, so let me make a bigger batch. And then she, obviously, she loves cooking. That's her thing. And she is the master blender, so to say, for Bugyaal. So she with her, and she, my mom, she gave it to all the other relatives. And over time, it is an acquired taste. There's not something like, I remember my mom used to force me as a child to have this, but it is sort of an acquired taste. And then I think, but this one was really yummier. So then within a week or something, we just really started enjoying it. And it's been, I think, more than a year now that's a night ritual. And when we were thinking of Bugyaal, and then we were thinking of, what should we introduce? So that was the time when we thought that why not a pre-mixed turmeric latte blend? Because it's relevant. It grows around easily over here. Turmeric is something that the farmers sort of don't have to work very hard to grow, because it stays in the soil bed for 3 years for an optimum level of curcumin. That's the challenge. But at the same time, pests do not enjoy it too much. Wild boars do not enjoy it too much. So it was relatively, I could see a lot of turmeric growing around me.
Wow.
So then, yeah. And then we also wanted something which is easy for the urban consumer to, use. Yeah. Because if I give them a wild food suddenly, which I have grown up eating, thinking that they will really enjoy it, but I don't think that really works that way. And then we thought of something which they will be able to absorb or use in their daily lives, because turmeric latte is becoming really big in metro cities, abroad, everywhere you go to any cafe, they'll serve you a nice version of turmeric. So I'm assuming that our consumers are obviously well-traveled, conscious, well aware. They know what's the best food to have. But the only challenge that they face is good quality produce. And that's where we come in. So the turmeric that we source from our farmers is all sourced in very small batches. A lot of it grows in our own backyard. Even the other ingredients from the mix, like ginger, it's growing in our backyard. So I know all of that is authentic. And that's what we consume too. So we wanted to make something, which is authentic, which is a superfood from Uttarakhand, so that because Bugyaal is a tribute to the heritage of Uttarakhand and the superfoods that grow around here. So we wanted something like that. And it was a great product to start with, all in all. So then, we went up to we collaborated with a lot of farmers around here, asked them to give us a small portion of what they're growing for their own. And then we made sure that whatever we are acquiring has rested in the soil for 3 years, because that's very important when it comes to curcumin. If you dig it out in year 1 or year 2, the level of curcumin is not optimum enough. And the second most important thing to do here is that there's a, traditionally, the traditional methods of processing the curcumin has to be really accurate. So you can't just boil that whole bunch of turmeric and then dry it and then, ground it. That's not how it works. It will not be able to absorb or it will not be able to retain as much curcumin as it should. So what we did here with the artisans was that, it is a longer process, but totally worth it, that they would hand grate our curcumin, the kachi haldi that you dig out from the soil. They would hand grate it. We would dry it out, steam it, not boil it. And then, when it's dried out nicely, sun-dried and air-dried, then you would grind it into a fine powder and then blend it with the other produce in a similar process for ginger, where we would grate the ginger, let it sun dry or air dry, and then let it, then blend it in with the turmeric.
Wow, this is as
so yeah, that's the story behind our turmeric latte blend.
Yeah, this is really amazing. But the commercial person in me will ask, is it scalable? Or do you even want to scale it?
So there are two things now. You need to decide as a business person, which I'm trying very hard not to be. But if you have to, if you have to be able to live the dream that I'm dreaming, then I need to scale it up in some way or the other, right? Because otherwise there's no point. Then it becomes just a small little project where I'm just supplying to my friends, family and all of that. No. So the whole idea is to get as many people to enjoy the natural wealth of Uttarakhand, be it in form of food, in form of art, in form of any cultural heritage or anything like that. So we definitely want to focus on the quality of the produce. That's primary for us. So the only way where we can scale this up is by building a strong product line. Sure. And that sort of works out for us also, because turmeric is not the only thing that Uttarakhand has to offer. We have so many other things growing. Like, for example, my next product is going to be a Himalayan gooseberry seasoning.
Wow.
Now, this Himalayan gooseberry, okay, let me just show you. This is how it looks, by the way.
Ah, that's amazing. I like the packaging.
Yeah. So it is a mix and a blend of obviously the wild gooseberry that's growing around in the jungle around here. So we got a lot of women to, they went foraging for this gooseberry and they plucked it right from the forest. Then again, we grated it, air dried it, sun dried it. This was somewhere, I think, a couple of months ago, and then blended it with other things that were also locally sourced to make this seasoning. So that's the whole idea, to make sure that we are able to share the wealth that we have to offer. At the same time, the local artisans or the women or the men of Uttarakhand are able to make a living out of it. And the whole world gets to know what we have to offer. I think this is the most important for us. So scalability wise, we are working on a lot of other products that you will get to know soon. But yeah, for now we have 2 instead of 1.
I think you've achieved a lot. Like for 4 months, that's like a pile of work that's gone behind it.
Yeah, 4 months is since we launched. We have been working on it. I mean, I have been working on it for the past, I would say, 7 or 8 months. So because right now we have monsoon going on, and season is, the climatic conditions are very, very important when you have to work here. Like, for example, we have monsoon going on here, so we can't dry anything anymore because there's so much moisture in the air. So all the drying, grating product needs to be ready in the drier parts of the year.
Right.
And this part, so it is a learning process that I'm also getting to know of, like last year I learned something new, this year I'm learning something newer. So it's a great experience all in all.
That's really amazing. That's one hell of a journey. So my next question would be, if you have to give one piece of advice to somebody who's trying to make a, not the same, but similar transition, what's going to be that?
So I think that if you want it enough, the universe will bring it to you, and that's my personal belief. I've experienced this many times in my life myself, that if I want something enough and really enough, the universe will find its way. It's sounding really Bollywood right now, but that's how it is for me, and I would advise people the same thing. But what happens is that when the universe does bring it to you, it also sort of tempts you to it distracts you into other directions, something like that. Like, for example, for me, when all of this was happening, at that time, I was also getting a lot of opportunities, getting offered a lot of opportunities, which were really, really tempting for me as a marketeer. But then I feel like, you have to prioritize. Sure. You have to know what you want, and you will ultimately choose what you want most. So that is the true test of time, when you choose when the universe brings it to you, and then when you stand your ground and you focus on it, and when you don't let anything else distract you, and if your heart is in the right place, everything will fall into its own.
That's very well said. So let's get on to a bit of a fun part of the interaction, and more Soror oriented. So okay. Obviously, sisterhood is very close to us, and that's like the main pillar for us. So what's sisterhood for you? How would you define sisterhood for yourself?
I mean, I would say sisterhood is everything to me, because like I said earlier, I've grown up in a quintessential Kumaoni home. We have a joint family. So I've grown up with 5 sisters, 5 cousins who are like siblings to me. Then I attended an all-girls boarding school, All Saints College, that I told you. Those friendships are everything to me. Yeah. I also went on to, I went on to another all-girls college. I went to Jesus and Mary College I attended Jesus and Mary College in the Delhi University, which is, I have friends from there too. So this whole experience, or this whole energy that comes with being around women, I feel like, it's a very different kind of energy. It's a very different kind of bond. I went to an all-girls boarding school. I have such a big family of sisters. I have new sisters now that I'm married. I have my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, my 3-year-old daughter. So I just feel like, and all of them are fiercely independent. I wouldn't say anything else. Every woman that I've known in my life, there's so much to learn from them.
Absolutely.
There's so much you can learn from other women. There's so much, they're so inspiring. That's the tribe of women around me. And then I also, through college, I lived with my best friends, who are still my best friends. They were a group of women, and we're still in touch, just a phone call away. So that's what I'm saying, that, I have this amazing tribe of women all through my life, that I value so much more. And that's why when you and I started talking, I think we hit a common chord there, because both of us value that relationship a lot. And even now, when I'm working with these artisans, they're all women, and there's so much to learn from each one of them. They're so strong, Tulika. They're so fiercely independent on their own. They're the anchors of their family. So it's just really great to see these stories, these inspiring stories around you 24/7. So I would say sisterhood probably is very important for me.
Very well said. And I totally agree with you. I think we have so much to learn from each other. We just need to find opportunities, and we all have a lot to offer to each other. That is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
So my last question to you would be, as women, do you think we constantly have to prove ourselves, be it at home or at work? And this is from both from your corporate life as well as now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I feel like that question is doing the rounds everywhere. And it's a very valid question though. But I genuinely feel that, both genders have it tough. Nobody has it easy in life. I would say there are struggles for both genders. For men, there are different kinds of struggles, of course. Men have a different sort of proving to do, and women have a different sort of proving to do. And all of this is designed or curated by societal biases and how we've been brought up. But yeah, of course, in my everyday experience, I do feel not only for me, but for so many people around me that I see that women have it tougher than their counterparts in many ways. I'll give you a very small example. Like all the artisans who come and work with us, they have to seek permission from their families to be able to go out of the house and work, even if they're earning the same amount of money that their male counterpart would work or would get. So that in itself, I would say, it just becomes very challenging for women. How I see them now that I have an all women's team. It's inspiring at the same time, but then I can see their daily hustle. I can see how they're managing everything else so beautifully: their homes, their kids, their cattle, their fields, their parents. And then when they come here, they give me that, those a couple of hours in a day. And when they come here, I feel like it's a different energy altogether, because I can see these beautiful smiles on their faces. They are so happy being around a lot of other women, and they're talking to their friends. It becomes almost like a retreat for them.
Wow, that's so amazing.
So yeah, I mean, it is tough for women, of course. Although again, I would like to say that it's tough for both genders. But yeah, I mean, everyday hustle is slightly tougher for women. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Pooja. I think that was amazing, and all the best to you and all the power to you. I mean, I personally love the fact that you're working with all these wonderful women, working at the grassroots level, and I'm pretty sure this is going to grow every day.
Thank you so much, Tulika. And I just need to tell you this, that you need to keep doing what you're doing, because bringing women together or women supporting women, I think it's very important. It's the need of the hour, and we need to be, everybody's so inspiring. Everybody has such a great story to tell. So getting these stories together, I think you're doing a great job too.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.